Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here today. I'm Michael Wright, Vice President for Communications and Chief of Staff. I'll be your MC today. Welcome to the Presidential Town Hall. It says that it's the middle of July, so the middle of the summer, but our fall semester is looming very large in the windshield. So we wanted to talk about fall semester today. So that's the purpose. We're going to share some updated plans and decisions about the fall semester, and we also want to answer your questions. We'll have a series of presentations starting with the president and going through some other campus leaders, and then we will move to Q&A. We've had a lot of questions that people have submitted so far, and we'll try to get to as many as we can, both in the presentations and in the Q&A. Please feel free to share questions via the chat. I've got my cell phone here, and people will text those to me, so we'll try to get to as much as we can. We'll also record this session, and it will be posted on the website, wayne.edu/coronavirus. And you also can go to that website, as we have for 16 months, to find all of the updated information. And now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our president, President M. Roy Wilson. President Wilson? You're muted.
There we go. StreamYard has the mute button in a different place than Zoom or Microsoft Teams, so sorry about that. Let me add my welcome also to everyone for joining. Reading the questions and comments that people have made, it's obvious that a lot of people are very anxious. Certainly, we don't want to minimize that. I think that there are reasons to be anxious. We'll discuss some of those. I know there may be some questions about the Delta variant and so forth. But there's also a lot of good news too, and we want to touch upon that too. First of all, because of the safety measures that we've adopted in the past, and because of the vaccine, there are a lot of positive things going on. First of all, we announced quite some time ago that masks are no longer required for those of us who are vaccinated. And then we extended that so that masks are no longer required for anyone outdoors. And we still do ask, though, that even though we're not going to have any verification process, that if you have not been vaccinated, that you continue to wear your mask indoors. I think out of respect for those who are anxious, I think it's if you haven't been vaccinated, we ask that you comply with that request and wear your masks whenever you can. And actually, even if you are vaccinated, if you feel anxious about the situation, and feel free to wear a mask. And no one should be judgmental about anyone else because of whether they are wearing a mask or not. Social distancing requirements have been eliminated. We think the science at this point justifies that. We continue to monitor things on a routine basis. The Restart Committee is still meeting. The Public Health Committee is still meeting. And if there's one thing that we all know, that is that things can change. And so as of right now, we feel comfortable with the recommendations, but we are continuing to monitor the situation. But right now, social distancing requirements have been eliminated. We're really looking forward to welcoming students and staff on campus. I mean, that's what a university campus is about people. And certainly we'll continue to have an online presence, but as many of you know, this pandemic has had a huge effect on our students, and particularly those students who come from disadvantaged backgrounds and may have environments that are not conducive to learning online. And we have a responsibility, as long as it's safe to do so, to get back on campus and provide an environment for all of our students for them to learn and experience college life. But as I said, we will continue to be as flexible as possible, and we will continue to be guided by the science and do what's the safe. But as long as it's safe to do so, we do have a responsibility to provide what it is that the students are asking. Having said that, I think our university community has responded really well. Our number of cases have been low throughout. We have not contributed to community spread. So we have a lot to be proud of, and I want to keep that in mind. At the same time, I don't want to minimize the anxiety that's out there. As I said from the outset, there are reasons to be anxious. This is not over yet, and I think that we need to continue to be as vigilant as possible. I do want to just mention that we did get results from the second vaccination survey, and I'm very pleased, I must say. First of all, and I don't have the results right in front of me, but the results I'm going to mention are based on a little bit over 8,200 responses. There's another 700 or so that haven't been analyzed yet. So almost 9,000 responses, which is considerably more than in the first survey. The overall, just looking overall, of the responses, so I think it was 88.3% have been vaccinated, which is very, very encouraging. And the band was much tighter in terms of the groups of people who have not been vaccinated versus those who have been vaccinated. So that among staff, that was about 92%. And even among students, which was very low before, it was somewhere around 85% that had been vaccinated. So again, from 85 to 92% of the respondents. Now, obviously, that is the best case scenario. So we're looking at 88.3% as perhaps the best case scenario, and then bracketing what we think the response is with a high and a low. The low, based on using extrapolating from national surveys, is in terms of what the response bias is. The low end of the bracket is around 67 to 68%. So basically, we think that the true proportion of our entire university community that's vaccinated is somewhere between 68% on the low end to 88.3 or 89% on the high end. So probably somewhere right in the middle of that is where the true proportion lies, which is actually a very good result. So I want to congratulate the university community. I want to thank the university community for filling out the surveys, and particularly the students. I think they really took the challenge. They were way behind before. They're making up ground. They're not quite as good yet as the faculty and staff, but they're getting there, and that's a great thing. So we'll continue to reassess, and there may be some targeted mandates that we think might be necessary, but at this today, we're feeling pretty good about the survey. We want to analyze it when the entire results have come in. The statisticians are continuing to look at that. And these results I just mentioned to you are preliminary. They just came out this morning. So sometime later this week, we'll have a chance to really look at the entire survey results and make any adjustments. But right now, we feel pretty good. I just want to make a mention of a few other things very quickly. During our first town hall, there were a lot of concerns expressed about parking. We've heard you, and Rob Davenport will tell you what we've decided, at least on a temporary basis, while we continue to assess the whole parking situation. I do want to mention that even though we are open, it doesn't feel like we're open. There are a lot of buildings that are closed. There's not a lot of people on campus. I've asked my staff to start coming on campus and having meetings in person. And I encourage everyone to do so. This summer was supposed to be the kind of the phase-in period for the fall semester when we start beginning to come in. Not necessarily in full strength, but beginning that process. Obviously, the flooding has impacted things and that has slowed things down. But I encourage all of us to really think about what a fully active campus is going to look like, and to start getting there so that when the fall comes, we're not just scrambling at that point trying to decide how to work back on campus, but we will have worked out all the bugs. So please think in terms of that, and I look forward to seeing all of you on campus at some point or another. And I know that I just touched upon a few of the highlights. I want to give other people a chance to give their presentations, and then for you to ask your questions. So let me just mention to you that we'll be hearing from Laurie Clabo, who you know as the former interim provost and chair of the campus health committee. She also has a new title, which is Chief Health and Wellness Officer for Wayne State University. And she can talk a little bit about that, but that's something that we think is really important moving forward to make sure that our campus continues to stay safe. Mark Cornblue, our new provost and senior vice president for academic affairs. Carolyn Hafner, AVP for human resources, will be on. David Strauss, the dean of students. Rob Davenport, associate VP for facilities planning and management. Because there are a number of questions about facilities that people want to know about. And then finally, Tim Michael, Associate VP for Student Auxiliary Services and Chief Housing Officer. So with that, let me ask Laurie to take it from here.
Thank you, President Wilson. As President Wilson mentioned, the experience of the pandemic over the past 16 months have really taught us about the importance of having both ongoing readiness and an organizational structure that supports the health and safety of our campus. So I'm honored that while I've returned to my day job as Dean of the College of Nursing, I'm also going to be serving as Wayne State's first Chief Health and Wellness Officer, and I look forward to assuming this responsibility. In this new role, I'm going to continue to work with our campus health committee and to be a permanent member of Wayne State's crisis management team. We think that it's really important that we move beyond thinking simply of the pandemic and a crisis, but also of health services that we deliver across our campus on a routine basis. So I'm looking forward to this. But we want to talk today, obviously, about COVID and where we are today versus where we hope to be in the fall. There's been an awful lot of national media coverage of the Delta variant and lots of concern expressed about the Delta variant. I think it's really important to remember that the Delta variant is a pandemic among the unvaccinated, and that for those of us who have been vaccinated, all three of the vaccines offered in the United States are effective against the Delta variant at 95% or more. We are well protected at this point if we have been fully vaccinated. A couple of things to talk about our campus. The Campus Health Center continues to offer appointments for all three COVID-19 vaccines. And as President Wilson mentioned earlier, the preliminary results of this survey look really good and are very encouraging about vaccine uptake on our campus. What I found most encouraging is the increase in vaccine uptake from the last survey, which, as you know, was conducted only about 2 months ago. And in many areas of the country, vaccine uptake has kind of flattened. But here on campus, it appears that people are continuing to seek out and receive one of the 3 available vaccines. So if you've not yet made that decision, I would encourage you to talk to a trusted healthcare provider or look at some of the information available on our coronavirus website and really consider getting vaccinated. It is our way out of this experience. We've talked about the fact that many of our restrictions are being lifted now. And as we've said from the very beginning of this experience, we're going to follow the science. And we have thus far, despite any social or political pressure, we've continued to do so. In many of our previous town halls, we've talked about the science behind the development and administration of the vaccine. We've discussed that vaccination is effective, safe. It's our surest way out to a post-pandemic world. And I'm pleased to see that many members of our campus community have listened to that message and have acted accordingly. Our positivity rate this week on campus is 2.2%, which is fully consistent with the positivity rate in our neighborhood, and that is really low. I'm really pleased to see it there. Unfortunately, the subject of vaccination has become highly politicized, and even more unfortunately, I think that's resulted in a lot of misinformation. Many of you will know that the United States Surgeon General issued an advisory last Thursday describing social media misinformation as a major public health emergency in the United States. I would encourage every member of our community to seek out reputable sources for health information, including our own coronavirus webpage or the advice of a trusted healthcare provider. That much of what we see circulating on social media and even in the popular press is inaccurate at best, and some of it is downright misleading. So we're happy to be back on campus. It's great to be here and start to see colleagues and students again. I know the building I'm in today is full of students. It's an exciting time thinking about our return. Right now, I'd like to turn this experience over to our new provost, Mark Cornblue. Mark officially joined us on July 1st, but many of us have been meeting with him for months in the transition, and he is really fully up to speed on our university. While I truly enjoyed the time I served as interim provost, I am absolutely delighted to turn this important responsibility over to our new permanent provost, Mark Clabo. Cornblue. I almost gave you my name.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Laurie, and thank you for all you've done to help me get started here. I'm excited to be at Wayne State and truly honored to serve as the new provost. As Laurie mentioned, I've been meeting with many people from deans to faculty members to staff members well in advance of my start date, and I greatly appreciate the willingness of people to meet with me and all the help and collaboration that I've had, particularly in this time when we're emerging from a pandemic and getting ready to repopulate the campus. Coming from outside Wayne State, I have truly been impressed by the professionalism and dedication I've seen from people all across the campus at every level. And I think much of that is owed to President Wilson's leadership. I came here from the SEC, where institutions made very different decisions, and thousands upon thousands of students got sick last year. And I think Wayne State weathered this pandemic as well or better than any institution in the country, and everyone on this broadcast has a right to be proud for that. With that said, I do have some academic updates to provide, and I will invite my colleagues who have been here longer to add their comments. In the past 16 months, our faculty, staff, and students have done a tremendous job in adapting the methods of teaching and learning remotely. We've learned a lot, and we want to apply what we've learned as we plan for the fall semester and for the 21-22 academic year. But as President Wilson said, we also want to return to our campus, to return the campus to a vibrant and rewarding place to work and study. A vibrant campus is really essential for us to draw students to Wayne State and for our students to succeed. And it's part of why all of us want to work in a university and be part of a university community. I've consulted with the policy committee of the academic senate and with the academic deans to be sure that we return safely to our classrooms. I sent out a message to all faculty members and academic staff on Friday, reassuring folks that we'll continue to work with individuals who have concerns about our return to campus. But our goal is to return the campus to a vibrant, lively place. To this end, if we looking at classes as of today, we anticipate that nearly 60% of our classes will be in person and over 70% will have an in-person component. Some of our students, a few of our students found themselves thriving in an online environment. Some of them have health concerns that an online environment is better for them. So we'll continue to work with schools and colleges to provide some online options for courses in the future. We're also paying particular attention to first-year students, and we're endeavoring to ensure that all who want to have an in-person class will have that opportunity this fall. Campus tours have already begun. Fall registration is well underway. For those students on this webcast, I encourage you to get registered if you haven't done so already at wayne.edd/register. Thank you all for your warm welcome. And now I'll turn this over to Carolyn Hafner, our Associate Vice President for Human Resources.
Thank you, Provost Cornblue. And again, welcome to Wayne State University. We are so happy to have you join the Warrior team. Well, I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone and start by saying thank you, thank you, thank you. You all have done an absolutely outstanding job weathering this pandemic. Let me back up, conquering the pandemic over the last 16 months. Because of you, we kept the university thriving, not just surviving. We didn't skip a beat. We kept things going. But now, as President Wilson said, it's time to come on back. We miss you. Those of us who have been on campus, we're excited and anxious about seeing you. Even though we've been together on countless Teams and Zoom meetings, nothing replaces human energy and human connection. The opportunity for us to collaborate in person, to pop in and see each other, to reinvigorate the campus through engagement, through collaboration, through excitement. There's nothing like fall term. It's my favorite time of the year to see students walking around, to see everybody getting ready for the fall term, to see faculty gearing up. We're excited about that, and we want you to be excited about that. So over the past few weeks in mid-June, we issued the Return to Campus Guide for unit leaders to begin phasing in and planning what the new workforce is going to look like, to begin forming their logistics team. And as President Wilson said, returning people back to campus now. The guide says have your plan in place by September 7th. That's the day after Labor Day. So that means gradually over the summer, start bringing folks back who are going to be on campus, start looking at your schedules and seeing who's going to be working remotely and what days, and who's going to be on campus and what days. We will be offering flexible work arrangements. The guidelines are already on our website. The flexible work arrangement form is out there and available for you. The Return to Campus Guide has specific criteria to help leaders to make decisions about who's going to work where and when and how. But we've also asked that you emphasize flexibility. And that's flexibility on both parts. Leaders got to be flexible. Faculty and staff have to be flexible. We've got to create a win-win situation for our students. That's why we're here. We are an institution of higher education. And because we are here to serve our faculty, our staff, our students. We're a campus that's vibrant and that's engaging. And we've created this culture that we've all come to know and love and appreciate. And it's time for us to reaffirm that, to redevelop that, to redeploy it, to read whatever we need to read. We need to do that. And we need to recommit ourselves to what our mission is. We're an important part of this community. You know, we change lives and we create the future through the lives of our students, through the research that we do. And we've got to continue that. And the best way to do it is to be here to do that. Now, we recognize that we've proven we can work very effectively from home, Carolyn. So why do we need to be back? Well, for all the reasons that I just said, it's important for us to be here. So for 6 months, from September 7th to March 7th, we're going to pilot our new flexible work arrangements program. And we're going to figure out what works best for Wayne State University and its students, faculty, and staff. We're going to assess through this period what works well and perhaps what needs to be tweaked and where we need to improve. And at the end, we're going to solicit some very deep feedback from everyone, faculty, staff, and leaders. And we're going to make sure that we shape this program so that it can continue to be effective. Now, some folks' jobs need to be done here on campus. And other folks, well, maybe they've been perfectly effective working off-site. Well, we all had to work off-site. But we do need to be here during some portion of the week, the work week. And so we've asked leaders to work with faculty and staff to determine what an effective, efficient, valuable experience we can create through a hybrid schedule. And we're asking that you work with your supervisors to develop what works best for everyone based on what are the needs of the operation. What does this department need to do? Who do we serve? And how can we continue to best serve them with potentially a hybrid schedule? And it's not going to be one size fits all the way we may want it to be. But we have an opportunity to do something that the university has not done before. And we have an opportunity to do it better than any university anywhere in the nation. We pride ourselves on being a premier research institution, vibrant in this community. Well, now we have an opportunity to be a premier institution that offers an absolutely outstanding hybrid work schedule that continues to promote success for our students, for our faculty, and for our staff. So we've got an opportunity to demonstrate that we can create a win-win situation, that we all can be flexible. We have an opportunity to recommit to the mission of this university that has served this community and so many people for many, many years, over 150 years. So how are we going to make this work? Well, we're going to work together because we're a team. And we in Human Resources will be here to help facilitate discussions, to help work with employees, to help work with leaders, to provide consultation. We already have a long lineup of fabulous workshops and seminars that our Department of Organization and Employee Development, our Benefits Department, has been in consultation with our partners from Alliance, with our colleagues in CNIT, and we have a number of workshops and seminars already scheduled to help transition back to work on campus and to deal with the many challenges we've had to deal with and face, including how we deal with some of our anxieties about coming back to campus. So go to Accelerate, take a look at what we have. There's lots of great stuff going on throughout the entire month of July. And then I'm asking that we celebrate the return to campus. I'm asking for leaders to think outside the box and to make this a welcoming and warming environment for everyone to help reduce the anxieties that folks may have. And I'm asking you to really, really work hard to create a win-win situation. If there are issues or concerns, work with your supervisors. Call on us. We're happy to do that. Now, there are two different ways to appeal a decision if perhaps you're not happy about a particular flexible work arrangement. For staff, for non-academic staff, you can certainly work with your supervisors and other leadership within your school, college, and division. And you can always call on HR to help facilitate and consult on those matters to work out a reasonable resolution. For faculty and academic staff, you can work with the Office of Academic Personnel and the Office of Equal Opportunity. Either way, we can work together to create a win-win situation. So at this juncture, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'm looking forward to seeing you before September 7th. And let's work together and let's make this another success. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Rob Davenport in Facilities Planning and Management. Rob?
Thank you, Carolyn. Appreciate it. So on the facilities side, we've got a number of things that we can update everybody on, not the least of which would be indoor air quality. You know, we started a MERV 13 filter program almost a year ago, and we continue to maintain that program even now. So that's our new standard, and we'll continue that, as I say, indefinitely. On the domestic water flushing front, this is another program that we instituted when the pandemic came upon us. And we're sure to continue that program whereby we're flushing every fixture and every outlet in every building on a scheduled basis. So we want to make sure that the water is safe for everybody as we return to the buildings in earnest. On the cleaning and custodial services side, you know, the team has been engaged in spring cleaning mode for a number of months now, and that continues as well as we head toward the fall. And then general cleaning, of course, we're running the business as well. So where we've had a lot of occupants in various buildings, we continue to work in a fashion that we have in the past. You know, the one thing to note, where we've had some access issues in getting to individual offices, we're working through those issues now. So do know that if you come into office and it looks like your space hasn't been cleaned, well, there's some access issues that we're getting through. But by and large, you know, we're going to be ready. There's no question about that. And in fact, have a look on the facilities webpage. You'll see an updated facilities restart guide. And that playbook, we call it the playbook, that's fresh as of this morning. So a lot of work went into that over the past several weeks to get ready for the fall. Also the flood. So it's been 3 weeks since the flood on June the 26th, I believe it was. And a lot of work has gone on since that flood occurred, not the least of which would be what we like to call remediation. So the water is out of the buildings. The wet product, including carpet, tile, and drywall, has been pulled out. So, in fact, the last week, we've been engaged in restoration efforts. So that is coming along quite nicely. Some may know that we took some water on just on Friday due to that heavy rainstorm. But fortunately, we fared very well. And what did come in is gone. And it was gone within hours, so we're in pretty good shape there. On the parking side, right, so there'll be no increase in parking rates for the fall, and we're going to keep the program the same for those monthly parkers that are not paying. That program will continue through and up to August. So more details on that as we put that program together. You know, we want to make sure that that's, you know, parking is fair and equitable, and we certainly don't want it to be a barrier to campus. So a lot of thought is going on around parking, and do know that we'll have some sensible plans here in the very, very near future. And construction efforts continue, by the way, and have as well throughout the pandemic. So all the construction projects, notably the arena and Hillberry and many others inside buildings, have continued as well. So that's it for facilities. Let's pass on over to David Strauss.
Hey, thanks very much, Rob. Much appreciated. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope that this finds you well today. I want to bring you greetings from the Student Center. It is so great to see students. They're out in the hallway studying. It's great to see them. It's great to see people on campus. Everything's looking great. I hope that you all are well, your friends, your families, and for those of you that dealt with the flooding, I hope that you are doing well as the tragic flooding that took place and so many of our university family members were affected. I gotta tell you, I think you would agree with me that before the pandemic, we might have taken for granted gatherings that we had with family, gatherings that we had with friends. We no longer do. When we do gather, and we're now permitted to gather, we do so with exuberance, and we do so not taking it for granted and knowing how lucky we are to be back together. And so I want to share with you just for a moment the joy that I witnessed yesterday. And I think that this is a metaphor and a prelude to what we're going to see this fall, and really speaks to what the other speakers have said this afternoon about returning to campus. So the 2020-2021 Student Senate never met in person. Their term of office is May to May. So their entire Senate was Zoom. And we always talked about wanting to be able to see each other when we had the permission to do so, because some knew some, but not all knew all. Well, we got the approval to be in person. And last night we gathered as a Senate to see each other. And the hugs and the handshakes and the smiles and the comments of, wow, you're taller than I thought. Wow, you look different on the screen than you do in person, just brought such joy. And folks, that's what students are excited about. That's what I'm excited about. That's what all of us are excited about, is being able to see each other, to celebrate the community of Wayne State. What we experienced last night, that joy, is just going to expand 1,000 times more when we're all back together in the fall. Now, I want to give you some information on activities and events that are happening even before classes start on the 1st of September. Orientation Part 2 is happening on August 30th and 31st, and Convocation and Festival are happening on Tuesday, August 31st. Planned right now, all of that in person. We will be providing streaming opportunities for our keynote events for Orientation Part 2, and we will be streaming online the Convocation ceremony. But if you can, come in person, and all of us know how much fun it is to experience all of these events and be at Convocation and be at Festival. Now, leading up to this, we are rolling out our summer activities program and Wayne State Summer Activity Fridays. So beginning on Friday, the 30th of July, and then the 6th of August, the 13th of August, the 20th of August, Fridays at 4, we are inviting the entire community, students, faculty, staff, come on down to campus. Students, we're going to have information tables on financial aid, on getting you registered for classes. We'll get you all taken care of there. We're going to have on the 30th, we'll have a scavenger hunt. This one's called the Warrior Pride. So those of you that are new, those of you that were fall of 20 freshmen, fall of 21 new students, you can come and experience the Warrior Pride and the scavenger hunt. We'll have food, we'll have giveaways, and then we'll be showing the movie Chaos. And all I know about it, because I haven't seen it, the movie's called Chaos Walking. I haven't seen it, but it stars Nick Jonas, and I like Nick Jonas. So come on, hang out. Beginning at 4 o'clock, movie around 6, food and fun. Right now, planning August 6th, Drag Queen Bingo, and what happens in that building scavenger hunt. So again, getting ready for the fall. I want to give a quick note to student organizations. As you heard from President Wilson and Provost Cornblue and Dean Clabo, social distancing has been lifted. So get your events, your activities, your meetings, your programs, your gatherings, get them scheduled because we're back. Apply for Student Activity Funding Board money because we're back. And if you need any help, just give us a shout in the Dean of Students office. So September 2021 is back to 2019. And with that, one thing I want to mention is, folks, help us keep Wayne State Warriors safe. Help us keep Wayne State Warriors strong. If you haven't, go out and get vaccinated. With that, I'm going to hand it over to my friend and colleague, Tim Michael, our Associate Vice President for Student Auxiliary Services and Chief Housing Officer. Tim. Oh, you're on mute, Tim.
Okay, I hope that's better. Thanks, David. As we've all already heard, lots of planning is occurring for our return to campus. Before I go into my remarks, I also want to add my thanks to our student and full-time staffs who have served us during the pandemic. While many of us were able to work remotely, many other staff from the beginning of the pandemic and every day since have been working on campus to support our students and continue campus operations. Staff in campus housing, the student center, dining, the campus health center, the bookstore, the rec center, the libraries, FP&M, and others were here every day to help our students and staff be successful. So as we have an opportunity to recognize them when we return, let's all thank them. Now, as we look toward fall, we are excited to open campus housing again to thousands of students who will call WSU their home this fall, and doing so with no COVID testing, mask, and social distancing requirements. Housing and Residential Life hosted over 200 students and family members last Saturday who visited campus during an open house. Students were able to get a sense of campus, but what we're still missing is that 24/7 vibrancy that we all contribute that makes the Wayne State experience so attractive. We look forward to everyone returning in August to fully welcome all our students to the Warrior experience. Our first communication with fall residents about check-in will go out this week, and we'll soon be welcoming our student staffs and fall athletic teams to campus, so the countdown to the start of classes is absolutely underway. As we return, campus operations are open or reopening. The WSU bookstore and cafe is now open, along with the Student Center food court to support those of us returning to daily campus work now. By mid-August, we also hope to see the opening of several new retail locations on campus, including Sushi Kabar near Subway, Tender Loves Chicken, TLC, in the Student Center. Quickly Boba Bubble Tea has already opened in the lower level of the Student Center as a new location for campus. We're also looking forward to welcoming the new retail along Anthony Wayne Drive, many of whose openings were delayed by the pandemic. In August, our 7-Eleven, Coney Island, 1000 Degree Pizza, Uncle Joe's Chicken Fingers, Beyond Juice, the Warrior Pharmacy, and others will be ready to start serving the campus community. So there are lots of new and interesting retail to see and visit as we all return to campus. And I know they look forward to meeting and serving us. Thank you, and I'll turn it back to Michael Wright.
Thank you, Tim. And I would just add that Beyond Juice, it's serving now because that's my go-to place, and I'm really enjoying it. Covered a lot of ground, so thanks. We do have a little time for questions, and I'd like to call up President Wilson first. President Wilson, I'm going to just lay a few questions on you, but one, just to re-emphasize mandate. We had a lot of questions before, not so many today on chat, but just clarify if there is a mandate, and then we'd like to talk about the campus being open, but first on the mandate.
Yeah, so first of all, I said from the very beginning that safety is our top priority, and that I don't want to do a mandate, but if we have to do a mandate, we will. I'm very encouraged by the results of the survey. certainly in terms of the staff and faculty, including faculty, at least from those that responded, we're talking about over 90%, 92% of the respondents have been fully vaccinated, and a few more percentage points have been at least had one shot and is looking forward to getting the second. You can't get much better than that. Now, understanding, of course, that there's response bias, is still a very, very good number. So I want to wait until we get the full analysis. This was preliminary results. We don't have all the data in yet. And if we do a mandate, it's going to be very, very targeted. It'll be a targeted mandate to specific populations that are lagging behind. I do want to, again, just emphasize that the university community has really been stepping up, and I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, thanks. We just had a question coming over the chat about the daily screener, and just in the interest of time, I'll say a daily screener is still required, and it will prompt you if you're not vaccinated to wear a mask if you come in. But there were some questions early in the chat about, are we open? And in particular, it said, is it the university's position that all WSU department and services are open to everyone without limitation, in addition to faculty, staff, and students?
Yeah. So a few things on that. Yeah. Yes, we are open. And I want to particularly recognize those who have always been coming to campus, police, some of the facilities people. They've never had the opportunity to work remotely. So we should recognize them for their continuing to be on campus throughout the entire time of this pandemic. But yes, we are open now. Obviously, and what I was hoping is that during the summer, we will be able to use this as a time to get acclimated to being open. There's a lot of anxiety still out there. I understand that. So not 100% of the people will be here 100% of the time, and we understand that. But we need to start coming back, being as open as we can, and in full anticipation of a fall semester that will be totally open. So during this time, let's use it as a time to get used to being open. And as Carolyn was mentioning, make out the schedule. Supervisors make out schedules that would allow people to be flexible, but still at the same time start getting used to coming in a certain proportion of the time.
I can leave this for Rob, but I think you wanted to do some clarification on the parking.
Yeah, so on the parking, we are going to continue to keep it free until October. That'll give us a chance over the next several months to assess what the use patterns are for the parking lot, and come up with another proposal come October related to the parking rates. But for right now, it'll continue to be free, and we'll have more details later on. I do just want to caution everyone that we can't keep it free forever. I mean, the way we keep upkeep on our garages is to charge up parking fees, and so if we don't charge parking fees, then we've got to continue to upkeep the garages. They're going to have to come from somewhere. So the funds will have to come from somewhere. So it's not realistic to think that it'll be free forever, but it will be free until October, and then that'll give us a chance to really assess the use patterns and come up with something that hopefully everybody will agree is fair.
Okay, thanks very much. If I could have our Chief Wellness Officer up right now. I forgot the whole title, but Dean Clabo, the question for you. What is the Chief Wellness and Health and Wellness Officer? A couple questions, please. One is the Delta variant. Is this something we should be concerned about? And then one other about, I'm hearing some feedback. Hopefully that's not bad for everybody. What about people with compromised health conditions? What should they do as far as getting ready to come back to work? I'll mute.
That's great. So the Delta variant, as we said earlier, is a concern. There's no question. It's a concern for those who have not yet been vaccinated. And it is one of the reasons we are saying that if you are unvaccinated, you are still required to wear a mask indoors on campus. As regards, sorry, Michael, I lost the second part of your question.
Yeah, for people with
Compromised health conditions, absolutely. So the number of people who cannot receive the vaccine because of pre-existing health conditions, the restrictions are actually very, very few. Most people can receive vaccine, and I would encourage you, again, to have a conversation with your primary care provider. But for folks who are concerned about transmission, even if they have been vaccinated, nothing stops anyone from choosing to wear a mask at any point on our campus. And I think it's really important that all of us don't assume that when someone's wearing a mask, it means they're unvaccinated. People will choose to wear masks because they are immunocompromised and they are slightly more vulnerable, even if vaccinated. So I keep a mask beside me, and when I'm in situations where it's crowded, I choose to wear a mask. On our campus, I have not yet had a situation where I've chosen to wear a mask. And I think this is an individual personal decision, and certainly the wearing of a mask doesn't restrict your activities on our campus. But for those of us who've been fully vaccinated, who are well and healthy, most of us are excited about the opportunity to begin to put those masks away more frequently. You're muted, Michael.
I thought I would get all the way through without doing that, but thanks, Laurie. Can I have Carolyn Hafner, please? Hello, Carolyn.
Hey, Michael.
Lots and lots of questions about how this rolls out by unit and things like that. And I suspect we're going to be learning as we go and all of that. But you mentioned this, but it's worth you going over it again, I think. How do we deal with disparities and how flexible work arrangements are granted? And what can people do if they feel like they're not being treated fairly?
Well, first and foremost, that's a great question, and I understand that people are concerned about that. And we certainly don't want things like favoritism and inconsistencies. But like I said, one size does not fit all. First and foremost, supervisors know their employees and they know the work that needs to get done. So I ask that we be very fair and objective by looking at what is the work that needs to be done and when it needs to get done and where it needs to get done and how it can get done most successfully to serve our students. I sound like a broken record, but we got to remember, this is why we're here. This is what we do and who we do it for. And we've got to remember that. And we've got to be willing to kind of put our personal preferences aside and put the work first, and put the mission of this university first, because that's what's important. But if employees have concerns, if they're not happy, certainly we ask them to communicate and work with their supervisors. We've got to, if you go to, I think it's page 19 of the Return to Campus Guide, there's some very objective criteria that we ask leaders to go through to determine who will be best suited for flexible work arrangements, again, based on the mission, the goals, objectives, the customers that unit serves. And customers may be students, it may be faculty, it may be other staff. If you can't work it out, again, stressing communication, certainly we could ask that you could escalate it to upper leadership within that school, college, or division. And you can also call upon HR to help to facilitate and consult to come up with reasonable resolutions. And again, I want to emphasize there's a separate process for faculty and academic staff to go to the Office of Academic Personnel and/or OEO.
Thank you very much. May I have Rob Davenport, please? Rob, people need a little more comfort, I think, on are these facilities ready after pandemics and germs and floods and air quality, water quality? You did cover it again, but but there seems to be some skepticism. But I've seen facilities people all over campus just re-emphasize, please, that it's good to come back.
Without question, Michael. Yes, we've had our fair share of challenges, without question, but we have come to the table and stood up at the plate, and we've hit some grand slams, I would dare say, over the last few weeks in particular. I feel very confident that our HVAC systems are in good working order and ready to keep all occupants safe. The water's been removed, all affected material is gone and tossed out. We're in the restoration phase, so we're doing very well. And on the custodial side, same thing. The custodians have really stepped up to the plate as well. And back to the playbook, that really says it all. The plan that we have in place and that we're implementing and using, frankly, is working well to keep us clean and to keep that program sustainable. So you'll see nanoseptic wipes out and about on the doors and elevator buttons, and you also see hand sanitizer in the entrances and common areas as well. So those programs will continue into the fall.
Thanks very much, Rob. If I could have Laurie Clabo up one more time, please. And I'm going to answer one of your questions for you. There will be a flu vaccine will be required again this year, but also will we be continuing COVID testing?
So the situation around COVID testing changes as the population gets more vaccinated. So what we're doing currently is we're following CDC recommendations, and that is that moving forward, we will reserve COVID testing only for those who are symptomatic. Asymptomatic people who are vaccinated actually have a relatively high incidence of false positive cases. So the Campus Health Committee has been watching that fairly carefully, and we will use testing, which is free and available at the Campus Health Center for anyone who has symptoms or is concerned, but no more mandatory random testing. You're on mute.
Did it again, because I want to get rid of.
While Laurie and I both answered the last question, I mean, our commitment is to be responsive to faculty and academic staff concerns and support them. And we've made the deans all support this idea. So the Provost office will work with the colleges and departments to make sure that faculty are in positions they're comfortable with in the fall. And Laurie, you want to talk about safety?
So I think that's exactly the point, Provost Cornblue, is that we will trust that using the honor system, folks who are unvaccinated will wear masks in class, and those who are vaccinated and who desire extra protection can themselves choose to wear a mask. Michael, if I can just mention, I realized I misspoke on the testing and didn't mention that we will have, we'll continue routine mandatory testing for athletics and club sports, obviously because of the nature of that contact.
Okay, thank you very much, Laurie. In respect of everybody's time, I think we'd like to close this out, and I invite President Wilson to come back on. Updates, and they're going to be continuing. They'll be on wayne.edu/coronavirus. So please keep checking, and we'll keep communicating. We're going to have a follow-up message from this tomorrow. And as I said, this is recorded and it will be online. But President Wilson, I don't know if you had any closing remarks before we end this.
No, I just want to reiterate the main message here, which is, one of optimism. I think there's a lot of good news. I'm really proud of the university community for stepping forward when we needed to step forward. We'll continue to take the appropriate actions based on the science. But right now, we're very comfortable with the announcements that have been stated today and have been reinforced. I do want to continue to urge everyone to get to 100% vaccination. So those of you who have not been vaccinated, even though the overall number seems to be very, very encouraging, we do want everyone to get vaccinated. So we encourage you to do that. And if you need help in terms of finding a place to get vaccinated, certainly the campus health center is one source, but we can help you identify some other places that may be more convenient for you also. So again, thank you all for joining. I hope we were able to answer most of your questions. If you still have questions, please, as Michael mentioned, write to us and we'll try to answer them as best we can. We are continuing to meet. The Restart Committee is continuing to meet. The Public Health Committee is continuing to meet. And we're assessing on a weekly basis what best to do to keep this campus as safe as possible. Thanks.
And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll be in touch.